What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to build a PHP project that will allow you to register and log in users, and we will also learn how to connect to a MySQL database. How can you insert data inside of the database? How can you hash, encrypt passwords? How can you just put some special content that will be only available to admins or moderators? And I'm going to show you exactly right now what we're going to build. So in here, this is our main page. There is just something in here saying Telmo Academy. It's just because it's me building it. And I have in here welcome guest. So when someone goes to your website, you see this message welcome guest. Please log in or register to unlock all the content. On the top, you guys see that we have in here some nav links, one that says home, this is where we are at the moment, one that says register, and we can actually register someone, and another one that says login. If you already have someone who is logged in or has already a login, they can do it. So let's go in here and just register someone. I'm going to put in here username, I'm going to put John, okay? And I'm going to put the email, john@email.com. Oops, I need to put at in here. So john@email.com, and I'm going to put 1 2 3 4 5 6 for my password. And I'm going to put in here register. Okay, now that I did this, I'm redirected to the home page. I can do login, and let me do john@email.com. I just created, and I'm going to do 1 2 3 4 5 6. If I press login, look, now I see in here on the top this connected successfully, which I'm going to remove. This is just to test that our connection to the database is working. And now look what says in here. Welcome John. It says your role is a guest. So whenever you create someone, by default their role will be a guest. And it says in here, this is a super secret content only for logged in people. So I know that this person right now is logged in. We are using sessions in here, but if you guys want, you can also use cookies later on. So look at our nav links on the top. We got home, which is this at the moment. We got our profile, which we can change. Okay, I can change this name of this person and also the email. Okay, and I can access the blogs. Remember guys, if you are not logged in, you don't have access to these blogs. And you also have the logout. Let me just show you in here the database. If I'm gonna refresh the page, look, there is a new value in here for John and John@email, and also the password, which is completely encrypted, and then in here the role of this person. I'm gonna show you how to build all of these, but let me just go back in here. Now I'm just gonna log out. Look, this is the blog for someone who is a guest. I'm just gonna log out. This time I'm gonna log in as someone who is a moderator. So I'm gonna put in here Telmo moderator. And then I'm going to put the password to log in with this user. This is something that I created before. So if I'm to log in, look, I have home, which says, welcome Telmo the moderator. Your role is moderator. I can go into my profile to change the name. Look, instead of having Telmo the moderator, I'm just going to put Telmo moderator. Let me just get rid of this. And I'm going to click update details. Okay, when I click update details now, if I go to my home, look, welcome Telmo moderator. It's not Telmo the moderator anymore. And if I go into my database and I refresh, look, now I have on the name Telmo moderator only. Okay, one more thing. Now if I go into my blog, look, at the top, because I'm a moderator, I can create a new post. Look, I can click in here and I go into the title and I'm going to create, for example, post 3, and in here I'm going to put this is the post 3 body, blah blah blah, and I'm going to do create post, and look, I just added a complete new post in here. Look, if I refresh the page, it's still there. We added these into the database. Finally, we have one more user, which is the admin. So let me just do the logout. I'm going to do a login again. This time is going to be admin@email.com, and I'm going to start with a 1 2 3 4 5 6. I'm going to do a login, and look, when I have someone who is an admin logged in on the home page, I can see all the users that are on my database. So I have Telmo guest, I have Telmo moderator, and I have John. I can, if I want, change the roles of these users. So I know that Telmo guest at the moment is only a guest. I know that Telmo moderator is a moderator. Look, it comes by default in there. And I know that John is a guest as well. If I want, I can change the role of John to be a moderator. Look, I'm going to click moderator, update this user. If I refresh the page, look, it still stays as a moderator. If I go into my database, I refresh the page, look, John, which is my last user in here, now has a role of moderator. I don't know if you guys can see in here next to my cursor. Finally, if I want, I can delete the user. Look, click in here. Warning, are you sure you want to delete this user? Let's click delete a user. And now, look, it's gone. I don't have that user anymore on my database. I'm gonna refresh the page and look, that user is gone from my database. Alright guys, so this is the project that we are gonna be building today. Okay, I'm gonna guide you from everything like you don't know anything, so don't worry about that. Now, the first thing that you guys need in order to start building this project with PHP is downloading some kind of a local server. The one that I'm going to be using right now is called XAMPP, okay? So if you guys put on download XAMPP, this should be the page. Look, if you are using Windows, you can download this one for Windows. If you are actually using Mac, okay, for Mac, I actually think that this one would be better. So I'm gonna do downloads MAMP. I think that's the name, MAMP. Okay, so if you guys are using Macs, okay, I would download this one, MAMP. You don't need to use the pro version, the free version is just fine. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing right now is this first video, I'm just going to show you how you can go through. So I'm going to set up just like the home page, and I'm going to set up the connection to the database. And then we're going to keep going on with other videos. I don't want to make them too long. Okay, so because I know you guys don't have too much time to watch all of these. So let's get started. I need, first of all, let me go back in here. If you guys install this XAMPP, this is what I'm going to be using, okay? Once you install it, you need to go into, let me just show it. If you go into your disk C, for example, if you have installed in there, program files, XAMPP, okay, htdocs. So this is the place where you need to create a folder for your project. So in here, I'm just going to put login project. I'm creating a new folder completely empty in here, and now from here this is where I'm going to start creating my project. So look, I'm on my Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open the folder, okay? I'm going to open this login project that is completely empty at the moment, and now I can start writing down some stuff. First of all, you need to start your server, guys, okay? Your server, let me just go. At the moment, I'm on C, program files, XAMPP, htdocs. I want to go up one level. And if you guys keep going down, look, you should have these three executables. You have XAMPP start, XAMPP stop, and XAMPP control.x. Okay? So this executable, I want you to double click on this one that says XAMPP control X. So once you open it, let me just stop this. You should have something similar like this. You have one in here that says Apache and one that says MySQL. I want you to click on both of these ones. You can even click in here on these admins to start as an admin if you have some kind of a privileges problem. But you only need to start these two, the Apache and the MySQL. Both of them should turn green. Okay? Now, okay, inside of my project in here, I'm just going to create a new file called index.php. Okay, you guys need to create files with the extension of .php to make sure that it's working. So right now, I'm going to start with this. Okay, whenever you're going to start writing down some PHP code, you need to start with this kind of tag. Okay, this is how you open PHP, and this is how you close it. Whatever you write down in between these tags is going to be considered as PHP. So I'm just going to do in here at the moment, echo, and I'm gonna say my first PHP project. Okay, don't forget the semicolon in the end. And now I'm just gonna put a regular, it looks like this is not working, HTML. I'm just gonna create something else in here, about.html. Just rename this. I just want to grab like a regular HTML5 template. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this stuff. Okay, so I created a new about.html so I can grab this template from a regular HTML. Let me just, don't save this. I'm gonna paste this in here, and that's it. Okay, now to open this file, this index.php, we should see on the page only this echo. So if you go back on your XAMPP folder that we were just in there, you go inside of htdocs. What was the name of this folder that we just created? It's called login-project. Okay, so if you go back to your browser, now what I'm gonna do is localhost, and then I'm gonna put / was it php-login? I don't remember. Let me see. Let me open this. No, it was login project. Okay, let me do in here. Login project. And look, I'm gonna do some zoom so you guys can see better. My first PHP project. Okay, so this part is all working. So it means that we can actually see the code that is coming from this file. So you guys need to put on the top localhost / the name of your folder that you created. And obviously, because we are using the index.php, you should put in here on the browser as well index.php. But because this is the default file for all the projects, look, it's gonna read anyway. Okay, so this is it. Our file is working, guys. Make sure that your server is running. If your server is not running, you can't just like run your project locally. So once this is done, let's just now get with our connection to the database. Let me just get rid of this about.html. I don't need this at the moment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create in here a new folder. Let me see, what did I call this folder? I call this config. Okay, so I'm gonna click this button to create a new folder. I'm gonna create this config. This is, and now a new file inside of it called db.php. I think that's it. Yeah. Now let's create our connection to the database. So the first thing I'm going to do in here is to create a variable in PHP. You just start with a $sign and then the name of the variable. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start in here with a host. Okay. The host, because we are creating this project locally, is going to be called the localhost. Okay. This needs to be in between single quotes. Okay, don't forget the semicolon in the end. After, okay, I'm going to need a user. Okay, I'm going to create a new variable called user. And this user, by default, okay, guys, when you are using something like this, something like XAMPP, it comes with a user by default called root. Okay, you can Google it, do whatever you want. It comes by default with a user called root. It also comes, let me put in here with a password. The password that comes by default with XAMPP is also root. Okay, if you guys are going to be using, the password that comes by default on XAMPP is empty, is like nothing. So you can put this kind of empty string. Finally, we need to put in here a database name, which I'm going to show you in a second. So in here, I'm going to put DB name, for example, and I'm going to call this login project. I think this is fine. Login project. So now, after I created all of these, I need to set up my database name source. So how I'm going to do it? I'm going to do DSN. Okay, this is a short for, just going to put in here so you guys can copy it after. You Can use some kind of comments if you would like to, okay? Set DSN database source name equals to DSN. And now I'm going to do in here, let me just copy this. I have MySQL. The host is going to be the host up here. Look, I'm using these dots. These dots means that I'm connecting strings. This is called the concatenation. So I'm putting in here the MySQL host is going to be the host that I have in here on the top. And my database name is going to be whatever I put down in here. We are going to create our database in a second. Okay, guys? So we need this. Let me just see if I am missing something. So I'm creating my database name source. And then I need to do a try catch block. So I'm going to do a try catch. Okay, and in this catch, I'm going to put some kind of errors. I'm going to show you in a second what you need to put. Now, what we want to try first of all, we are going to use PDO to connect to our database. This is like the most modern way, the object-oriented way to connect to a database with the PHP and MySQL. So I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to put it in here so you guys can see. I have create a PDO instance. I have PDO equals to new PDO. You know, this is to create our connection. First of all, I'm going to pass my database source name that we just created in here on the top. The second parameter I'm passing in here is the user of my XAMPP. And finally is the password of my XAMPP. Okay. After I created this, I need to set up two attributes. So I'm going to put in here these two attributes. So the first attribute that we are setting up for our PDO connection is to use the object-oriented way to grab after the values. I'm going to show you after why is it so important. And then this attribute is to set the errors to exception mode. So we can actually see the errors better in our screen. So don't worry too much about this right now. I'm going to explain further up along. So if there is some error with our connection, by the way, then let me just put in here an echo connected successfully. So using echo is the way of PHP to actually print something on your page. So if you say echo, we are going to print this on the page if everything goes successfully, okay, on our connection. Then, if there is some sort of errors, what we want to do is, I'm just going to copy it in here, and I'm going to put this echo connection failed, and then I'm going to put the actual error that comes from the connection error. So this is, don't forget now, we started our PHP tag on the top, and I'm just going to close it down here. To close it, I'm going to do this. So here it is, our connection to the database. Right now, we need to connect this connection in here on the top with our index.php, but we also need to create our database because we still haven't done it. So what we can do with this is going in here to our browser. You guys can go on the top. Let me just reset the zoom in here. If you guys go to, okay, localhost/phpMyAdmin, okay, localhost, I'm going to put in here on the screen, maybe you guys can see, look, localhost/phpMyAdmin. So now I can remove this. It should bring you this phpMyAdmin interface that you can actually use to interact with the database. So right now, there is in here on the left side all the databases that I created from before. And I'm going to create a new database in here. If you go in here onto new, okay, click in here on new, and you're going to select the database name. What was the database name we just gave it in here? We said login project. So let's call it like that. Login project. Okay, now I can just go in here and do create. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. Okay. Now, when you create a database, it's going to ask you, do you want to create some kind of table? The table is going to be used now for us to put some values for our users. So I'm going to call this table users. And I want this table to have how many tables? I want to have an ID for the user, a name, email, password, and user role. So I'm going to put 5 in here. Okay, 5 columns. I'm going to press go. Now, in here on the first column, I want to put ID. The type of it is going to be an integer because an ID should be an integer. And I'm going to select in here on the right side under this AI that says auto increment. I'm going to click on it and select it and just say go. I'm not clicking anything else. I just clicked in here on the AI. Look, I'm going to do one more time. Click on the AI. In here, everything is fine. I'm just pressing go. What this means is when you're going to create a new user, because the ID is going to be auto increment, the first time that you create a user, the user is going to have an ID of 1. The second one is going to have an ID of 2, 3, 4, and so on. Second thing I'm going to put in here is going to be the name. Okay, so it's going to, let me just see what, it should be fine. I'm going to put name. I'm going to put in here the type of this is going to be a varchar. So the varchar is just going to be a variable of characters. Okay, and I'm going to give it a maximum length of 255 characters. So whoever comes in here to my website and tries to register a name, I don't want the name to be bigger than 255 characters. That's it. That's the only thing that you need to worry about. Now, I'm going to use in here an email. An email is also going to be a varchar, is going to be a variable of characters, 255, same thing. Then I'm going to have a password. The password is also going to be a varchar, a variable of characters, 255. And finally, I'm going to put in here a role. So this is going to be the user role. The user role is also going to be a varchar 255. And I'm going to put in here a default, as you guys can see in this part. I'm going to put as defined. So whenever I'm going to register a user for the first time, I want that the default value that comes is guest. Okay, so if all of this is fine, I'm just going to go in here and press save. Okay, now if I click in here on my users, look, I can check in here on the structure. I have an ID for the first column, name, email, password, and role. Okay, let's see if our connection is working fine so far. So what we can do is on my PHP login project, I'm going to go and I'm going to save this file on my index.php on the top. I'm just going to do require. Let me just see if I have it in here so I can just copy it out for you so there is no mistakes at all. So where is it? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a require. So what this require does is in this index.php file that we are just starting right now, I'm going to require the file that is where I'm using this // to look on the current directory where is my index.php. This is where we are writing down our code right now. I want to look into the // I want to go into the config folder. Okay. Inside of the config folder, I'm going to do a // to go inside of it. And I want to grab this db.php. So I'm going to save this. And now if I load my page in here on the top, I should expect to see a connection successful. Let's see if it's working or not. And look, connected successfully. So let me just put in here on the top before my echo. Like I said, echo is just to print out something on the page. I'm going to put in here a break tag. And now I'm going to refresh. Look, my first PHP project. I do the break tag. This is an HTML element to go to the next line. And then I have connected successfully coming from my connection to the database. If for some reason I have something wrong on my database connection in here, let's say that I put, for example, a user of Rooty. For example, I know that this is not correct because there is no user Rooty on my XAMPP. Okay, there is no user in here called Rooty. If I refresh my page, look, connection failed. access denied for Rooty at localhost. It's going to give you an error message. If I put the details correctly, again, look, like I said, guys, the host by default when you are working locally is going to be localhost. If you are working on some kind of server online, you would have to put the IP address of that server. In here, I'm going to use a user of root because this is the default user from XAMPP, and the password is also an empty string by default. Don't put some sort of spaces or anything, okay? Just empty string. And then in here is the database name that we just created right now. So basically, guys, that's it for this video. We already learned what we are going to be building during this project. We learned how to connect to a database. We learned how to create a table and put some values in there. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you are excited to continue this project. I'll see you in the next video.